Good evening. This is Stuart Lindman with the Twin Cities' earliest evening news. Say, does that cup of coffee you have for breakfast every morning, or that you're having right now, perhaps really hit the spot, really make you happy about the whole thing? Well, coffee pleasure is really something. A cup of coffee can make or break an entire day or an evening. Of course, if that coffee is Nash's coffee, well, taste will tell. You try some. Nash's coffee. And now the news. Twin Cityans who've been up in the Fargo-Moorhead area the past few days and dependent on buses have had to find other means of transportation. The drivers have been on strike since midnight Sunday. An announcement was made this morning that all other employees of the company will be out driving those buses so transportation between the cities might be maintained. So if you're up that way and the gears clash a bit, it might be the night watchman who's doing his best to manipulate those vehicles. Closer to home, John Smithton has just been appointed Admiral of the 1953 Minneapolis Aquatennial Parade. Won't tell you much about John tonight, for he'll be our guest on the home edition of the news tomorrow night at this same time. Yes, we here in the Twin Cities have a lot of water to enjoy, speaking of our Minneapolis Aquatennial. However, down in the southwestern part of the states, they're just about out of water. Agriculture Secretary Benson, who has made a trip down there, an inspection tour, has returned to Washington, and he made this report.
I have just returned from the severe drought areas of Texas, Oklahoma, and adjacent states. I was very pleased to find that the spirit of the people was even better than I expected, although somewhat saddened to find that the drought was more severe than we had anticipated. We're throwing into gear immediately a part of this program that will provide emergency feed for the areas affected. We're also requesting that the Interstate Commerce Commission grant the railroads power to give emergency rates. We hope that a little later we'll also have available an emergency credit program where needed. The whole program will be on the basis of need and will be administered by the local people.
Thank you, Secretary Benson. Well, let's take just a few seconds from our news show tonight. The boys in the studio have made some coffee, and I know it's the coffee delicious, Nash's coffee. I can tell by the smiles on their faces. And I want to take just a few seconds from our news report for a sip of that coffee delicious, Nash's coffee. Why don't you pick up the secret of so many Twin City housewives and get your Nash's coffee in the economical 2-pound can of Nash's coffee. Then you're always certain to have plenty of Nash's coffee on hand. That's good. That's good coffee. That's Nash's coffee. You try some too. Now back to our news. Over the 4th of July holiday, thousands of Minnesotans will be visiting this familiar site in South Dakota. Travel to Mount Rushmore is at an all-time peak. Or perhaps you'll be up in the cool northern Minnesota woods, taking it easy and perhaps getting in some fishing in a stream like this. But whatever you do or wherever you go, drive safely and return Monday. You know, Minnesota traffic accidents are at an all-time high. Don't you add to them. Drive carefully, because the life you save might be mine. Well, here's a little story from Virginia that adds just the right spice to a rather static day in the news. Wren Hall, seen here, part of William and Mary College in Williamsburg, Virginia, is the oldest academic building in the United States. Professors and students alike did a double take when they saw the newly redecorated lounge. It was all complete and very beautiful, except for one thing. The furniture was modern wrought iron with pictures by Dolly on the walls. The combination displeases Williamsburg very, very much. But you know, there is a combination that we all know about that pleases everyone all the time. The combination of water and coffee. And it's the right combination if that coffee is Nash's coffee. The coffee delicious. Remember, 60 delicious cups in every pound. That's real coffee. That's Nash's. Be sure to pick up a 2-pound can of Nash's coffee at your grocer's tomorrow. And now this is Stuart Lindman speaking for Nash's The Coffee Delicious, wishing you good news with good coffee. Good night.